Is there a white genocide in South Africa?
No, there's no sign of it, never has been. In fact, whites are economically the strongest group. They benefited from democracy more than anybody else. 64% of all boardrooms in South Africa are still white. The average income of white South Africans are vastly higher than black South Africans. No. They have better schools, they have better education, they have private health care. This is the land of milk and honey if you're white.
Has any land been expropriated in South Africa without compensation since the first all-race election in this country?
I'm not aware of anyone. Not a single farm that I'm aware of was expropriated without compensation since 1994.
So how do we interpret President Trump's executive order?
It is possible that South Africa has offended the United States with its policy on the Palestinians, and it could be that with its policy on Russia, the ambiguities of those policies and its relationship with the Chinese. It could be. I think that does play a role. But there was something very, very sensitive that was touched upon. And in South Africa, right-wing groups, so-called civil society groups, we know that they have access to the Trump administration because they claim that. And if you listen to what Trump has said, it corresponds exactly with the genocide narrative that they sell and that they market, and that whites are victims of the democratic system and the constitution of South African legislation. So there's an overlay, there's an immediate overlay, there's an unquestionable overlay between what Trump says and these right-wing groups have said. So I'm afraid I have to believe them when they say they have direct access to the Trump administration, and we see it in what Trump has been doing.
There you have it, folks. What did I tell you? What have I been saying in the midst of this whole controversy? I kept saying that there was no white genocide here in South Africa. There was none. And my main belief was that Trump has some form of, disagreement or something. Something must be pushing him. He must be hating on the South African government for some other reason. Because why would he continue pushing this false propaganda? You could go anywhere. Any reputable sources will tell you that there is no white genocide in South Africa. But Trump just keeps on pushing this narrative. Why? There is no such thing as a white genocide. I've been saying this, I don't know for how many times, how many days, right? And this white man that I just showed you the clip of says the same thing. He believes that there are a lot of things that are happening with Trump and South Africa. He does not believe this bullshit of Trump saying, oh, it's a white genocide. That's why we're doing what we're doing to South Africa. No, there's something far more rooted in this. And I'm thinking racism amongst other things. But anyway, listen to another logic of a person that believes Trump. When they are challenged, listen to what they had to say and come back.
You're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
No, it's not true that there is a genocide against white farmers.
Okay, whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
have violence been committed against white farmers?
How many white farmers, hold on a second, how many white farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
I don't know, several. I mean, they asked...
No, how many?
I don't know, several.
I know why you don't know, because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean, I know this. I wouldn't trust the South African government to tell me. I know that.
How many black farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, you guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No, I'm not.
After we left 20 million people in the country, I don't know why you're so triggered.
Haven't even brought up the white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers were victims. Okay, this is according to the South African police.
And you think the South African government is a
The
credible
other
source?
29, hold on a second, the 29 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers who have had violence committed against them, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened every single day. There's 59 people, and you're triggered about 59 people, and I don't know why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59 people. Why are you only concerned about white people?
I'm only concerned about this story because These 59 people asked for status. They're getting status, and now everybody's freaking out about it.
They didn't ask for anything.
Wow, that's crazy, right? The logic fail is insane. Like I said, conservatives all around. I watch American news, I watch American politics, social commentary and stuff. I do commentary on it too. And I know that the one thing that conservatives like is the stats, the data. That's what they use. But this person says that he does not care about the data. He does not care. He does not give a damn. He will believe his Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. That's crazy. That's a logic fail. I thought people only in the left do such things. Turns out not. The hypocrites in the conservative realm and in the liberal realm. I mean, like we have seen, 2025 has been a constant replay of extreme conservatives just showing their true colors. These are not intelligent people, bro. They're not. Like, imagine if I came with a preconceived notion of America and you give me the stats and say, you give me the stats that basically disprove my preconceived notion. And what do I say? No, I don't trust the data. No, I wouldn't trust the US government. You'd look at me as if I'm crazy. But yet somehow people turn a blind eye on this and they're like, he's right, he has a point. The white man in this video is crazy, bro. I don't care if you are, bro. It does not mean that if you are conservative, you cannot disagree with Trump. It doesn't mean that. If you're conservative, it doesn't mean you have to go with everything they say. Have a backbone. You know, hold your preconceived notions, right? But if you are given stats, that disprove your notion, an intelligent person will be like, okay, I made a mistake. But you guys are just, it's crazy.
Lovely people, and particularly a quick word to my American friends who might be tempted to believe what Donald Trump is saying about South Africa, my home country, where I happen to be right now. Him and Elon Musk are racist twats who have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Because what they're doing is taking the word of a fringe racist group called AfriForum and other disaffected whites, disgruntled by the end of apartheid, feeling hard done by, and much like the Israelis, victimizing themselves when they are not victims at all, bitching about how, you know, land redistribution is racist against whites. These are such ignorant provocateurs, and it's going to backfire on them. South Africans' majority, the black majority, and it's a multiracial, multi-tribal society now, only own a tiny proportion of the land versus the size of their population. And while white South Africans make up 7% of the population, more or less, they own about 70% of the decent land. And so the redistribution of land is to address past inequities, and the vast majority of South Africans agree and understand why that's happening and that it's a good thing. It's also under a very strict mechanism. Now, not everyone agrees, of course, with the mechanism, but the principle is what racists like Musk and Trump are railing against here on behalf of a bunch of assholes who equate equality with oppression, because for so many years, decades and decades of the apartheid era, they were the oppressor. And as we know, whenever the oppressor looks at something like equality, it suddenly becomes oppression of him. So fuck Elon Musk, fuck these idiots from AfriForum. You probably know nothing about them, but this is a bunch of, you know, the equivalent of your kind of Proud Boys hanging on to some past that never actually existed. And a past in which the vast majority of people in this country were oppressed, suppressed, and treated much like, fortunately not quite as badly as the Israelis treat the Palestinians. So this whole railing against South Africa, I'm going to add one more point. South Africans on the whole, all of us, white, black, Indian, colored, which is not a term, is a specific term for those of you who might get offended by that, a specific racial group. We are very, very resilient people. As a country, we have gone through a great deal, both in terms of the early part and then the transition from the apartheid era to genuine multicultural democracy. And whatever Trump throws at us, we can handle. We can handle it because we've been through far, far worse in our history. And my hope is that South Africans all turn around with one voice and tell Trump to fuck off with his sanctions and his fucking withdrawal of aid and his tariffs and all of this stuff, because we can live through it. What I'm not sure about is whether Americans can, because for the most part, all the stuff that Vivek Ramaswamy said recently about Americans being soft, not prepared to put in the hard graft, and all this stuff, I tell you, for the experience of most foreigners is true. And it's not true of every American I know. Some of them are the most hard-working, wonderful people in the world. But as a general principle, South Africans are far more resilient and able to withstand this kind of bullshit authoritarian pressure than any American population. So, to my fellow South Africans, let's stick this out. Let's stick up the middle finger to Trump and particularly to Elon Musk, because we know from his background that he left South Africa in the apartheid era and retains the racist bullshit that's motivating these people like Creel. And now that I'm in South Africa, I'm seeing their awesome, ridiculous tweets. Fuck those guys as well. They're the past. Most of us are the future, and it's a beautiful future.